Hello, welcome to Eye of the Empress. This channel, I use tarot as a tool for not only my own personal guidance, but to tap into the overall energies, in this case of the collective, and to use that to then provide some insight, not only from an energetic or spiritual perspective, but also from a life / psychology / development, nervous system, all that kind of stuff. I like to combine the two things together. This is my first collective video. I've been called to start putting this out there for a while, but I guess I haven't had the courage or the drive or the inspiration or whatever it is that I've been needing. I've had too much external distraction, and now I've been really guided not only by my higher self but also by some people around me to start putting this out there. So here we are. Thank you very much for joining me. Before I pull any cards, I'd like to ask my higher self and the higher selves of those watching and listening to be present with us, and also any other energy or consciousness that is here for the higher good of the collective, for the higher good of everybody listening and those around them and their situation. Thank you for being here. I'm going to start the reading by pulling a few cards from the Sacred Forest Oracle. I like to do this. It just gives like a little bit of an overall heading for each section before diving into the tarot. Can you please show me the overall energy surrounding the collective, those who are tuned in to these energies and to this reading, please? What is the overall energy right now? Ooh, 2 cards. We have Transcending Pegasus, which is good. I do feel like that's a bit of a collective thing at the moment. Well, we're starting to release and transcend certain situations, patterns, behaviors, cycles. And we've got Purity. The Unicorn. I like that. Tapping into that pure positive energy of who we really are at our core. That's what helps us to transcend the physical, the shit that drags us down, that distracts us, that prevents us from really being connected to that. Can you please show me what we're calling in at the moment? What is coming towards us as a collective? Whee! Leadership, yes. This is taking the leadership in our own lives. Responsibility for our own actions, our own behaviors, and taking the lead in situations, which sometimes means cutting people off, removing things from our life, whatever it is, or maybe it's taking the lead on your own personal goals and what you want to achieve. That stag spirit. Take the lead in your own life. No one else can do it for you. And anytime we try to expect that or blame others for not being where we want to be or whatever it is, we're only taking away from our own power. And what is the advice, please? What's the advice for the collective today? Ooh, I nearly jumped out. This has come up. Honestly, this came up in my personal reading, and I tried to do this reading before and my phone ran out of storage because I probably take way too many photos, and I had to delete a bunch, so I started again, and this card came out in that reading too. Retreat. And it came out under the advice. So this is a huge advice from them at the moment of retreating from all of those things that are distracting us, retreating from the outside world when we can, going inwards, cultivating our space, our homes, our energetic space to be conducive to what we're wanting to achieve and to our own peace, and being able to tap into that pure positive energy of who we are. And where is this all leading us, please? Can you please show me where all of this is leading us? Activation! This is a good card. Oh, I just got goosebumps. Excuse me. Had a little bit of a cough. Activation. So all of this, as we begin to tap into that energy, as we begin to transcend the situations and the energies that have been holding us back, taking leadership, taking the lead in our own lives. I just saw 555, which is a number of change and transformation. And when that video didn't work before and I had to stop it, it stopped at 555, 5 minutes 55. And that number has been coming up huge. I'd love to hear in the comments if you've been seeing that number a lot, because I've seen it so much. And it's a really exciting number because it is change, it's transformation. And that can sometimes come through endings of certain things, having to end something or get rid of something, release something to be able to step into that change or transformation, to be able to activate the new energy that is taking us forward. And underneath the deck here we have happiness. Sorry, I'm going to have to work on my lighting, but we all have to start somewhere. So underneath the deck is happiness, and underneath the deck I kind of see is the underlying energy, or the desires maybe that are driving us forward, that are within us. So that desire for happiness is what's ultimately driving us forward in this. And I just like to pull a couple of these little cards. Just I find that they complement it really well. So under for purity and transcending in the overall energy, we have banish a curse. Yes, I see that this is a cycle breaking card. And it's funny because I was just having a conversation with a friend prior to this reading about breaking cycles. So I see that as banishing a curse is breaking the cycles that we repeat that hold us back from connecting with the truth of who we are. And we've got good fortune. And under leadership, we've got courage. Yes, have the courage to take the lead in your own life. It's hard. It's hard sometimes. It's hard to set boundaries. It's hard to release things and people and situations that aren't serving us. It's really hard. It takes courage. I wonder if I don't know if this will help. That's a bit better. And for retreat in the advice, we have success. This came up in my personal reading too. Success. It's only through removing ourselves from external influences, tuning into that truth of who we are, that pure positive energy that's at our core, and beginning to transcend those physical things that are weighing us down or holding us back, that we actually can develop the courage to take that lead in our own life, which is leading to this activation of our true core frequency, this activation of everything that we are and everything that we want to be, of this highest potential timeline. That's something I've been really looking at and thinking about lately, is timelines. If we want to live on our highest potential timeline, we have to make decisions that align with that. And what have we got here with activation? Overcome fear. This is all leading to an activation of us overcoming our fears when we take that courage and that lead in our own lives and we tune into the truth of who we are. We start to overcome the fear and really activate that highest potential timeline, because it's realistically only fear that keeps us trapped in situations, that keeps us repeating cycles and keeps us making choices that keep us on these lower timelines. And underneath the deck we have willpower. We all have free will. We all have free will. We all have the willpower, the free will to make decisions and the willpower to stick with them. But you have to tap into that. It's much easier not to. It's so much easier sometimes to just let things happen, to not choose our own path. With the Two of Wands, this is choosing a new path that's leading to the Three of Wands, which would be our ships coming in. He's looking out on that harbour. Hey, where's my ships? But he's got to choose the path. He's got to actively choose that path to that highest potential timeline. Because that path, that's holding the whole world in your hands. So right now in the overall energy, we are transcending, breaking cycles, and actively choosing the path forward that aligns with our highest potential timeline. And we have the Empress. So again, but for me, the Empress, it's a very personal card to me, but the Empress is about being in your own power. It's about leadership, taking that lead, but doing so with compassion and love and understanding. She's a very nurturing energy. It doesn't have to be specific to gender. All of us do have a balance between the masculine and the feminine, and the feminine energy is very much about intuition. It's about love, compassion, tuning in to ourselves. It's not so much of an action card, more so much of a internal energy. So we're all needing to, I think, really connect with that divine feminine energy. We've got the Tower card. I don't know about you, but me personally, and what I have witnessed in those around me, there's been a lot of Tower moments. There's been a lot of things crumbling and falling away, being taken back down to the foundation in order to be able to rebuild or build something new that's like a lot more solid. It's also a card of big realizations about what needs to be cleared out. What do we need to transcend? What curse do we need to banish? It doesn't have to be a big scary card, but when we're in that energy of allowing all of the external to be what's driving us, what's, that fear, then it can be really scary, and some really big, not so pleasant things can happen. But in that change is the opportunity to rebuild something and to tap into our good fortune. What are we calling in this leadership and this courage to take the lead in our own life, in our own story? What are we calling in? Oh, that was my stomach. An end to the anxiety, an end to the sleepless nights, to the repeating cycles, the repeating nightmares. We're doing it to ourselves. This is something that we really need to understand. Nobody else is doing that to us. We only do this to ourselves. We are entirely responsible for what we create, for what we attract. And we are entirely responsible for taking the lead and having the courage, overcoming the fear that keeps us trapped in this. It does take courage. It does. But you have that willpower to do that. Yeah. Regret, sorrow, looking at the spilled cups, but not looking at what's here. He's looking at these cups like, oh, I'm so sad that I've lost what was in those cups. Look, they're all knocked over and spilled. And these 2 cups are over here like, yo, maybe stop focusing on what you've lost and focus on what you've got. Because maybe here is actually more emotionally fulfilling because the cups are about emotions. Maybe what's here in these 2 cups is actually more emotionally fulfilling than what was in these cups. But you're focusing so much on what you've lost rather than what's here in these 2 cups. You're focusing on the old path or the past rather than what's ahead of you. And that is keeping you trapped in this cycle of depression and anxiety and sleepless nights and worry and fear. That fear that we need to be able to overcome. We have to take the lead in that. We have to have the courage to look at the cups that are upright. Stop letting this pull us back into those cycles. Because that's the only way we can move forward. The 8 of Wands is a card of fast forward movement. It's only once we have the courage to really take the lead. And that comes through connecting through that purity of who we are. It comes through removing ourselves from situations and people and external influences for a while and tapping into our good fortune. This is our good fortune here. But we're looking over here all the time instead of looking at our good fortune. And the more we look over here, it starts to seep into every area of our lives until all of a sudden these 2 cups, he's going to step backwards. I've never felt that analogy before. If you step backwards, if you keep taking those step backwards into the past, into what you've lost, you're going to knock those cups over too. And just keep repeating that cycle. You're going to keep repeating those big tower moments because you're not getting it. You're not getting it. You're not tuning into the truth of who you are and everything that is there calling you. You're not moving forward. We cannot look backwards and move forward at the same time. This is also a card of communication. Maybe there's someone that you need to communicate with. Maybe there's a communication that's not happening. Or maybe this is just communication with yourself, with your higher self, being really honest and really connecting in to that. We can't hear it. We can't hear our guidance sometimes. We can't hear our higher self and the universe trying to communicate with us because we're too busy focusing on this, on the external influences. That's why we need to retreat. That's why we need to retreat into ourselves, into our space. We need to retreat away from all of the things that are keeping us distracted. Because that's what gives us strength. It's where we start to really tap into our own internal strength. I need to find a good spot to put these in. And to understand, what do we want? what is our ultimate wish fulfillment? The Nine of Cups is wish fulfillment. It's one step down from the Ten of Cups, which is ultimate emotional fulfillment and happiness and joy and love. What do we want? Like, how do we get there? What is it? Because it's different for everybody. Everybody has a different story. Everybody has a different dream. Everybody has a different idea of what their wish fulfillment is, what their ultimate Ten of Cups is, what their success is. Who have we got there? Ace of Wands, yes. Creative, passionate, new beginning. What is your success? What is your idea of success? It's different for everybody. We need to retreat from the external influences, from the pressure of the responsibility of other people's expectations, maybe even our own expectations. We need to retreat and get clear on what our idea of success is. Find that own internal strength and courage. Sorry, don't have enough hands. Strength and courage within ourselves to take the lead in that. Take those steps towards our ultimate fulfillment. Because through that, not only do we call in soul connections with the Six of Cups, but the Six of Cups can also be about repeating cycles. It can be about things that we're holding on to from childhood, which is where so much of our stuff starts. You know, the stuff I was talking about earlier with the developmental and psychology side of things. Well, if we want to talk about that, so much of these repeating cycles, these patterns and repeating nightmares that we keep ourselves trapped in, so much of our sorrow and regret and what we're focusing on really comes from a very deep place, from our earliest experiences, from our childhood, and how we therefore developed through that environment. This is deep work. It's deep work, and that can only happen through that retreat and through finding that strength to really look at that. What do we want on a soul level? Who do we want to surround ourselves with? Superficial connections that don't serve us or that maybe even hurt us? Or do we want to call in our soul family? That's the advice. Start looking at that. It's hard. It takes strength. It does. It takes a lot of strength to really start looking at that. And if you need assistance to do that, there's plenty of resources around, either inner child healing or even in just understanding the core root of what has led us into this place. Because it's not the truth of who we are, not on a soul level. It's the experiences that we've had that stem from those earliest experiences and then lead into the rest of our lives as we go forth. Oh, that's right, I forgot another card came out, the Ace of Cups. This is a new beginning. This is the foundation. Now that we're allowing the false foundations or the faulty foundations, the things built on faulty foundations, to fall away and crumble. This is the foundation of the Ten of Cups. if we want to get to our wish fulfillment and ultimately to the Ten of Cups, which is not here yet, it could come out, we have to take those first steps of healing emotionally. Trusting and new beginnings. And show me more about what this is leading to, the activation, the overcoming of fear. The Knight of Cups. So it's the Knight of Cups, the Knights are messengers. This is calling in this activation of more love, more emotional fulfillment, more soul connections, more love connections, whether they're platonic, romantic, familial, whatever it is. That activation as we overcome the fear is calling in more emotional fulfillment. And the Queen of Cups, more emotional stability. The Queen of Cups is very loving, very, very loving, very compassionate, not only towards others, but towards herself. Excuse me. And she has control over her emotions. See, the water represents emotions. So does Cups, but the water in this picture represents her emotions. Again, doesn't have to be gender specific here. But it is that divine feminine. Getting in touch with the emotions, but not allowing them to overwhelm. See that the water here is not actually touching her, but it is a sort of part of her. It almost flows into her dress here. So it's bringing in this activation as we overcome the fear, the anxiety, the things from our past that have been holding us back, the traumas, the experiences, the feelings of guilt and shame and remorse, regret. As we release all of those things, we're more able to overcome the fear, because that's where all our fear is coming from. And we can tune more into our emotional body, bring more balance into our emotions, understand them more without letting them overwhelm us, and call in more love, happiness, emotional fulfillment. He's bringing the cup of the Ten of Cups. He's bringing the Ace of Cups. That's what the Knight of Cups is bringing. That's the message. He's bringing you the cup from the Ace of Cups that leads to our wish fulfillment. But we have to break the cycles. See, she's blindfolded. She's got a blindfold on. And yes, bound there, but bound by her own fears, bound by her own perceptions of being trapped, bound by repeating cycles. But she's blindfolded. She can't see that there's actually a space here. She's not fully enclosed by those swords. And you've got some water here too, which is representing that emotion. We keep ourselves trapped in cycles because of our perception. But it's only our perception that keeps us trapped there. We're not actually trapped. And only we can release ourselves from that. Nobody else can do that. Nobody else can do that. The Eight of Swords is the step before the Nine of Swords. If we release ourselves here, where there's that gap, if we're able to take the blindfold off and stop binding ourselves to things of the past, to the things that keep us trapped, then we won't get to this Nine of Swords, which feels like that recurring nightmare. And at the bottom of the deck here, we've got the King of Swords. The King of Swords, he's a planner. It's air, it's very thought-based. And yes, while we do need to tune in to our emotions, there's a lot of water here, actually. A lot of emotional stuff, which I think we're all working through at this time. The King of Swords, he has that willpower. He's got the planning, the thought, the ideas on how to move forward, to release himself from these things that have been holding him back. He's not very emotional. And this is, that underlying energy. Sometimes we do have to get out of our emotions. But I think that in this case, maybe a lot of people are too in their head. They're too thought-based. It's leading to a lot of this. The Swords is all about thought. It's being up in your head. Too much planning, too much strategy, not enough intuition and emotion as represented by the Cups and by the Empress. So this retreat that we're being advised to do is about getting out of our heads and into our hearts so that we can truly tune into what it is that we want and what is going to bring us the emotional fulfillment. And for everybody, that's different. The cycles that we're repeating, for some of us, we repeat cycles in multiple areas of our lives. For some of us, it is more around relationships. For some of us, it's around being trapped in a job or a career that isn't emotionally fulfilling, but we think that we need to be doing because it's paying the bills. It's it's survival. And we've all been in survival mode for so long that we don't know how to get out of it. And that's why so much is crumbling around us. It has to fall down. It has to crumble in order for us to be able to move forward, and in order for us to be able to really start looking at what our wish fulfillment is. What do we want? So I think that's the biggest thing out of all of this, is that it's time for us to connect with ourselves, with the truth of who we are, to transcend above all of those physical things that are keeping us trapped, that are keeping us repeating these cycles, and that are causing a whole lot of depression and remorse and regret and focusing on the loss. We need to take the lead, have the courage to take the lead in our lives, in our situations, and really, really start to tune in with what it is that we want and what's going to make us happy. I'm going to leave it there because it's over half an hour now. Thank you so much for being here on Eye of the Empress for my first ever collective reading. Please let me know if it resonates with you, if you enjoyed it. Obviously, I will improve my setting and everything as time goes on. But yeah, thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate it.